Peter Stoyanov, please come up. Where's the John Allen? John? Not here. John was here, now John is away. Mr. Allen? John, let's... So we do it like yesterday. Just first we say hello to our friends and to the community. Hope everybody had a good evening yesterday. Nobody was sitting alone in a, that's what happened to me in a conference. They invited me to Washington, D.C. Big conference. Guy Thomas invited me many years ago. Washington, D.C., Canadian Embassy, very big, everything, presentation, this and this. And then it was over, so everybody was kicked out. And then I was sitting the evening alone in some pizza place. So I traveled around the whole world to end up alone sitting in a pizza place in Washington, D.C. And then they said, okay, whenever I will do a conference and people come from the whole world, I don't want that they are sitting alone in a pizza place in the evening. So, and I think we had a good bus tour, we had a good dinner yesterday, and everybody was happy. So thank you for coming, and yeah, hope you are recovered. Yeah. Definitely. So, Peter?
Carsten, thank you that you think about everything, even for small details like this, which you mentioned now.
Yeah, I have a woman and she thinks about everything. Sometimes she thinks even too much about everything, but most of the things you have seen it was done by her, all the little things and the restaurant. So where's Annette? So thank you for the evening. So she was in charge of the hospitality, and she also paid the bill. She's paying the bill when you need something. She's around. So today will be a little bit, we have some no-shows from the speaker side. One gentleman from the Fraunhofer, he is sick, saying on the speaker list. And another guy, he just sent a message, he's stuck in Deutsche Bundesbahn. But that is also at the moment the standard excuse when you are not coming or you come 2 hours late, you just say Deutsche Bundesbahn and then everybody believes you. So we are not Japan. That means that we will change a little bit the program. Also, our Ukrainian friend Valera, who was the first speaker, he's running late, but he will come. So, he's there. Valera, do you want, but he's not ready yet, so you are on the third position now, so we move back. So the program is a little bit shifted in a way. John Allen is moderating it, I run with the mic, and Peter is watching and giving us the comments, huh?
Yeah.
Should we do it like this?
Yeah, it makes sense. Hello? Turn on. Hello? Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think if we're down to about 6 presentations, then I think we can, spread out a little bit longer, more discussion, more questions. I think we want to get the
or
the
if there
going.
are people and here in the room and they think they have something interesting to show us, AI related, maritime related, they have something on the laptop. I just spoke with our friend from Magicport from Azerbaijan. He also will introduce and show how Magicport is using AI. So if there's somebody in the room and he thinks he has something, he wants to present something, it's worth showing, let's say 5-6 minutes, freestyle, talk to me, we make it happen. So if you think something valuable could out of it, you want to show something, please, we are open for this today. So John,
Okay.
Let's start with your moderation. Let's start with who's the first speaker. It's our no, it's Vesality, and he shows us how Vesality uses AI to and underwater pictures to make what?
Yeah, sorry, good morning. It looks like we are bringing AI underwater. I can tell you we don't, but we have means of extending the harvesting of information with underwater drones. And what we are doing basically, is we tackle marine fouling with data science. It looks very nice, very colorful, the ships, if you inspect them, unless you're the ship owner or the ship manager, then this is horrible because it costs a lot of money and creates a lot of emissions. If we go to the standard literature like Stopford, actually the market or the situation is quite bad because we're talking about up to 10% of loss due to hull friction, which itself is creating a lot of cost. So according to IMO, there is a market potential for it. They quantify it as 31 billion a year, which ships are excessively consuming or putting out in the atmosphere, both in terms of emissions and monetary, which is a nice market. So if we can capitalize on this, why not? So I created a startup and trying to go down this road. It is a typical lockdown story, as you can see there. It was the year 2 BC, which we call 2 before ChatGPT, because we did AI before it was cool. And we had a lot of time doing so. And if you, back in these days, work with AI, you start with a very painstaking process of manually labeling data. And still you have to do it today because there is no underwater data available, no good one, actually. So we had time to test. We tested some ROV systems. We decided which system we liked the most. We did some diving with divers, just with drone, which is also a very interesting picture. Then I tested my abilities, like, okay, I have a drone now. Can I actually operate it in harsh conditions? So we did it the German style by playing chicken with anchor tow mines in the Baltic. I can tell you they don't move. So this is as close as I dare to go. But it was okay. I thought, okay, if I can approach this entity, I can also approach ships and gather data. So the process of gathering data began, me flying around the world, offering the service to ship owners and managers. And of course, ships are everywhere. And in Hamburg, you don't see much. So I pack the drone in the luggage, and I fly to the ship. I conduct the inspection. I get the data, which looks like this, amongst others. So it's actually quite interesting what you see once you dive amongst the ships and inspect. You often see, or you also see things you don't want to see, and ship owners and managers don't want to hear. For example, if their anti-fouling coating is blattering off, but they paid 800,000 for the silicon paint, that's not so nice. Or if the sea chests are fully covered with barnacles and you don't have an intake and the machinery runs hot. So this is knowledge you should have. Now, how to transfer this knowledge into data, and this is a little bit of a tricky part, and there comes my favorite buzzword, AI. But AI had to develop, and back in the days when we started this, it wasn't very much evolved. So we have these famous examples, like please count the dogs in the image. This is how image recognition AI actually started. Now these days, it's pretty good in doing so. However, we start at 0 if we say, okay, now count the biofouling, please. So we need to understand a little bit, but luckily the magnitude of AI has changed. So there was a tremendous development, and one famous example that I often refer to is in 1997, AI has beaten the chess champion, and chess has 10 to the power of 44 positions. Now in 2006, it has beaten Go, and Go has the overall possibilities of position to 10 to the power of 172, which exceeded the amount of atoms in the universe. So if AI almost 25 years ago was smarter in a very specific narrow task, then there's atoms in the universe. So I felt comfortable that I can trust that we can tackle this with the right questions and the right system. Occasionally I have time and I write blog articles. They look like this. So I gave a little history lesson about the development of AI. Now what is important here that for 50 years we assumed Moore's law, which means the computation capacity is doubling every year. We have exceeded this and we are now at x10. So there is an exponential growth in AI development. I have no idea what the future will bring, but it's quite powerful at the moment. If we look at image recognition, there's also development in systems. So above is the image recognition infrastructure development above water and also below water, because there has been some research conducted on underwater image recognition. You see where we started, you see where we are today. There's a lot of going on and a lot of things that you can actually play with. And if you do it correctly and if you have a good labeled data set, you get something like this, which is nice because we don't count the dogs, but we count the marine fouling, and we also see after the cleaning if a ship has damages in the paint. So this lets us assume where marine fouling will attach next. Now the big question, what about AIS? How do we need this? So I came up with experts, mathematicians, and we came up with a very nice formula. It's basically, if you move a ship, it costs money in terms of fuel and emissions if you have more barnacles, so you don't want this. Now, there's a little bit more than a scientific approach to this. We consider this whole formula and this whole, okay, can I understand how marine fouling is impacting the fuel consumption of the ship? So we first start with the routing factors, and of course, that's AIS based. We get environmental factors along the ship route of the water, and we come up with our own biofouling risk factor based on this. Now then, if a risk is reaching a certain threshold, we offer confirming ROV inspections to actually see whether our predictions were correct, and then we have the image of the ship hull. Then comes the AI data extraction. We put it all into performance factors, and voila, we should get the formula for how much fuel consumption excess a ship owner or a manager is burning due to hull resistance. So basically, we have two sides of the equation, and you need both sides. You need the above, which means AIS tracking history, knowing where the ship was and where the ship will be, but also you need the underwater. If you don't know what the ship hull looks like, you only have half of the equation. Now there's also some science behind it. There is a gray box model approach by De Hassar. He's now working for Stena Line in 2024. We used this model by coincidence. We had the same approach, just our model emphasizes more on the water bio side, and we don't care so much of mean pitch, roll deviation, and stuff like this. If we get this data from onboard the ship, that's fine, but we try to focus on as much data as we can harvest without actually needing to speak to the ship owner, which is quite nice for us, because there is a lot of data on ships available already. Now, putting this in the graph, this is what an AIS history of one ship looks like. It's basically a heat map. Whenever a ship is on anchorage or slow moving or in the port, the map gets hotter. We calculate different water biodata against thresholds that we take from 50 years of research and also from the anti-fouling paint, the specific conditions, because every paint has a different spec sheet. We are not doing voyage optimization, but since we have AIS and the heading, we can also calculate the heading of the ship towards waves, wind, swell, etc., which is a very nice idea of confirming our suspicion whether a ship is underperforming. And it also allows us to draw graphs like this circle graph here, where you see actually the vector, like how much wind is coming from the front, how much is coming from the back, how is it affecting the ship with our specific cleanliness, hull clean factor and the marine fouling. And of course we like data, so you can get the data, you can get it as Excel, you can get it as JSON, you can get it colorized if it's just for the managers, so you just need to get it in color. And of course we need to know a little bit about the world fleet, and this is our database, so we can harvest this data that I've shown you without speaking to anybody for almost 39% of the world fleet, which to our understanding is 78,000 ships. There is a bit more, but we exclude fishing, we exclude leisure, we exclude certain special carriers, research ships, including the new builds. We're probably hitting 85,000 now. So you see we have a pretty sophisticated data set. Because just going to Clarkson's or wherever and downloading the data, you see that there's tremendous gaps. And if you want to have this data AI ready, it takes a lot of time and a manual getting the dots together and combining several data sources. So this is what we did. And this is what makes it possible so that you can run sophisticated analysis. So to wrap it up, what do? We offer ROV inspections. They are cheaper, they are faster, and they are are more liable than conventional diving operations, especially when you compare the camera quality of a diving report towards an ROV inspection, because you need at least 720p in order to harvest information out of a video with AI, with our AI at least. So, and then talking about the marine fouling evaluation, anti-fouling condition inspection, and we put it all into a software. If you don't have a software already, we can also provide API and put it into your software. So that's us in a nutshell, how we bring AIS underwater. Again, we don't, but we need AIS to draw conclusions underwater. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Okay, an excellent presentation to start the morning off. I think fascinating stuff. Any questions from the audience? Yeah. Oh, what a surprise! You can keep the microphone at the end of the day. Right?
Oh, thank you so much. No, it'll be excess baggage. So, excellent. What I wanted to understand is, after collecting all this data, how is it helping out, how do you help out ship owners comparing one particular paint that they've applied versus the other one? Because I saw that you've got a lot of detail like phycoplankton and silicates, etc. Do you give recommendations based on that? And what is the sort of average life cycle of a new silicone paint that has been applied? Roughly, what have you seen on that?
I need more data to draw real conclusion from this, but this is actually interesting. So we are working towards a consulting service for anti-fouling paint, where the thing what we can do at the moment is we only see the situation as it is. So we know there is a fouling that has been applied, it has been purchased, it has been put to the ship hull on the dry dock, and now the ship sails for 5 years with it. So we only see, was it a good decision or a bad decision, based on where the ship is traveling, because sometimes if it's not a liner ship, you don't know where it's going. So you do the best paint application according to what you think is best, and then the market change because of tariffs or pirates or whatever. And after 5 years, or after, even in between, after 2 years, you probably can draw conclusions with services that we provide. And the next time you can say, okay, maybe I don't go for silicon, maybe I go for hard coating, polishing, maybe I go for, and this is also an interesting discussion, maybe I go for biocide free, so I can brush, I can groom, I can clean the ship wherever I want. So this is also very important and very modern, like these days, being discussed with IMO as well. And I think the more data the ship owner has, the better he or she can draw conclusions on how to react to the future and how to change. And definitely we need more data for this, but yes, it's not my intention to advertise certain products, but it is my intention to advertise the likelihood of success for certain paint categories. And there is basically 3 to 6, depending on how you see it. And this is definitely where we go. And to the first question, I'd like to emphasize a shift in thinking, because I don't like, or it is disadvantageous for ship owners to only inspect the ship every 2.5 years for class. You should do it every half a year in order to get this data, because every 2.5 years means 900 days sailing blind and don't know what you consume. I advise not to do this.
Okay, good. Yeah. There's one question down here, then we'll come to you at the back.
Chris from OptiRiver, I have a question. You find, you do all the reporting, you send out the drone, and it finds a lot of growth on the hull. What is the next step that's taken?
Calculating the likelihood of fuel consumption excess, which means we also always calculate against the first 2 or 3 months after the last dry dock, because this is our gold standard when we assume the ship is cleaned and often sand brushed and everything. So we calculate the delta against this if we get our hands on the fuel consumption from the ship owner or the manager. If not, we take our assumptions and we do best guess, which is still better than nothing. So yes, we put it in monetary terms quite easily with a risk analysis, with a report, many images, not too much words, so very manager friendly. And we tell them, okay, look, you burn $8,000 a day. That's something they can handle, because they know cleaning a ship costs 20K, maybe it's 30. So this is what they understand, and that's the service.
What is the chance after you give them that data that they will clean the
It's a matter of the number that we provide them. It's a basic.
Is it more likely than before without the data?
Definitely, because they have visual confirmation and they have somewhat scientific proved consulting service. So they can still ignore, yes, it's like with AIS, they can shut it off and go blind if they want, but what's the advantage for them? So yeah. In the future, maybe we are also able to build up a network of service suppliers that clean the ship already because we have this data, but we are too small right now and we need to focus on the product itself. But there is options to advancing the supply chain.
We have a question at the back here.
Absolutely.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. Very interesting. I love computer vision stuff. I'm Marcus from SoftPark. One tiny question. What is really the advantage of looking at all the images and so on, and not just watching at the fuel consumption of the ship and maybe use AIS or something and the wave information and tide information and so on to calculate whether or not we are consuming more fuel than on average, and do all the work with these images and so on?
Yeah, my first argument would be it's quite cheap, so you should have an interest in checking the hull eventually, not every 2.5 years, but maybe once a year, because we also see missing anodes, we see missing anti-fouling paint, we see foul propeller that can be polished quite easily. But there's also the approach, and some liner shipping operators do this, whenever the fuel consumption hits a certain threshold, they just clean, they don't care. But cleaning costs, I don't know, 15, 20, 25K. They don't care because they have a schedule to follow. However, if you want to know, do I need to clean right now, or is it okay if I clean in 4 months or in 8 months? Which is also sometimes stated in the charter party. Sometimes the charter party demands 2 times cleaning a year. However, if you can prove that you don't need to have it 2 times a year, which means every 6 months, but maybe within 4 years only 4 times or 3 times. So you can play around, you can be smarter with this, and you can change or reduce the cost just by only doing proactive actions when they are needed. And for this you need data, you need an understanding.
All right, thank you.
Okay, do we have any last questions?
Well, I'm around a little bit, so just approach me. Or if you want to have a live demo, so I don't want to do it live, but semi-live.
Great. Thanks, Michael. Thank you.
Can we do Richard and then Chris? Because you need the web cable from the front.
Okay. And we so who's doing now? Richard? Yes. Okay.
Because they need to change the cable.
Oh, okay. Okay, great. Moving on to the next one. Are we okay for doing? Yeah. Be careful of that laser. Okay. Okay. I'd like to introduce an old friend of mine, Richard Colash, GSTS in Canada, with some fascinating overviews of how to link all aspects of the intermodal transportation and all that. It's fascinating stuff. So, Richard, over to you.
Thank you, John, and good morning, everyone. I'll just see if I can get the first slide up here. Oh, right. So the goal was to provide a little bit of an information session on how we use AI currently in situations with AIS and what we see as the future. Just a little bit about us. So we are a private spin-out from a space technology company, ComDev, where I led the team that designed, built, and launched one of the world's first maritime AIS satellites, as we referred to the other day. And I set up the company really based on the need that I saw when I traveled around the world and saw what could one do if you had information on all the vessels all the time. And our focus then boiled down to, we provide intelligence, focused on optimization and risk management because it applies to every maritime nation and user around the world. What we have developed is, I call it the iPhone. It's Oceana. It's an AI-powered platform that I'll describe shortly. And the solutions that we have developed, validated, and are in use currently are for the commercial, defense, and civil users. Wow, I think we have a little bit of a presentation challenge here. Is that this? Do you guys have the right one here, just to make sure that I've got? the slides in the right order. Oh, this is not the version 2 presentation, but I can go with it. All right, let me work my way through and yeah, go back to that slide. Okay. So, right, data, first of all. You know, what's the novelty about data? Well, data has always been there, right? It's nothing new in the maritime sector. But there's more data available today, and it's available digitally, which means that you can manipulate it more easier. And what do we see? Well, it's enabled by smaller, cheaper, and more powerful sensors and better power sources. We see data sets coming up, like the example we had just before this. Intelligence from data, well, it's the ability to extract the intelligence. So for many years, it was based on a person's eye and their brain developing capability. Computers allowed us to process information much more rapidly. And then new techniques, AI, which is simply a tool to extract that information. So some of the observations that we see, which is really the conclusion of what I'm talking about, but I'll hopefully get to the slides, is that AI is nothing more than a tool, right? It's a tool that allows us to extract intelligence more rapidly. Trust remains a key issue. So in the capabilities that we develop and demonstrate to the users, the ability to trust the information is a key one. How do we know that this information is correct? How do I know that the data that I'm giving you potentially isn't going to be shared with others? And it's extremely important. And that means having the ability to validate. So if we have a risk score on a particular vessel, what we also provide is an explainable AI solution. So the analyst will see that there is a particular risk associated with this vessel, a security, environmental, or commercial risk. You can then click on another image that shows what is the evaluation or analysis that went in to determine that it was a risk so that I can trust the decision it's providing to me. Our predictions for the future are that maritime defense and security will remain lead adopters because they're used to dealing with advanced technologies and they're a single source customer, whereas the other capabilities we're developing that I hope will show up are based on multiple users having the information. Commercial applications, people will adopt these applications based on the efficiency and demands on staffing. So the presenter previously identified that you can be more efficient in when you need to do the anti-fouling clearing, and the fact that there are fewer and fewer staff. So we need systems that are more automated, that can take recommendations from AI, and we see this as a key driver. And that there's going to be a gradual shift from the AI, which is provided right now as a recommendation, to a fully automatic system. So whether we're taking a look at automatic vessels or autonomous vessels, it's going to be a process where we move in that direction. So really, this is out of sequence, but I wanted to get to, so this is what Oceana is. This is our iPhone for the maritime sector. And what we do is we ingest multiple data sets. We have about 20 at the moment, and but we have about 20 in our data toolbox. And every month, just like what we saw previously, there's somebody coming up with a new sensor. So we ingest that data. We validate it, first of all, because we have intentional and unintentionally corrupted data. We store it, and then our element is on the data analytics and the intelligence we extract. We do supervised learning. So we had a project where we had to identify the North Atlantic right whale from space with optical imagery. And so we supervise it by training the algorithm with satellite-based images of what whales look like. And why do you care about whales? Well, if you're transiting from Antwerp into Montreal, and the North Atlantic white whales are on the east coast, you have to slow down and move over. That's going to change your time of arrival. Where if there are 15 ships ahead of you, do you need to continue to do 18 knots when you're now going to be delayed by perhaps a day or two based on when the ships can load and unload at the port? Those are the types of things that we take a look at. The other element are rules-based. If this, then that. So we would train the ship or the algorithm, for example, if two ships are beside each other within 5 meters for a period of 20 minutes in the ocean open, consider that to be a rendezvous. So the risk management capabilities that we developed, as I mentioned, are on the security, environmental, and commercial risk. So Oceana is active currently. It's in use with defense, border security organizations on the security side, with the environmental organizations in Canada looking at identifying these kinds of situations. And commercially, we provide grounding risk assessment and other capabilities as well based on the risk analysis we do. The big opportunity again is using AI, in this case, to be transformational. This is what I was getting at the other day. Not just providing a tool to do what you do better, but to do a complete transformational capability. So we have a major project underway right now, the first one in the world, connecting ships, pilots, ports, terminals, so that everybody's connected to the same air traffic control for ship system, so that we can provide recommendations. What speed should you go based on the availability of pilots, of what's happening at the port? Is a strike? Is a crane down? What's the storage capacity ashore? That requires an awful lot of dynamic monitoring because it's changing every hour, depending on the port that you're going to. So we are demonstrating this capability currently in ports or vessels traveling from Europe to the port of Montreal, and in fact even into the St. Lawrence Seaway, because we provide an AI solution now for the Great Lakes locks, which is under control of Canada and the US. And that's a transformational perspective, and then we're looking to connect to the road and railway. So really that's the conclusion of what I was going to talk about, indicating how we use AI currently. We're providing these capabilities to, as I mentioned, ports, shipping lines, pilotage authorities, defense agencies. We see that AI will continue to support decisions, first of all by making a recommendation to an operator, then over time as the user becomes comfortable and the regulatory policy is put in place, that these will occur automatically in our assessment. That's it. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Richard. I've got some questions, but let's throw it open to the audience. Any questions out there? No? Okay, well, I'll start the ball rolling. You mentioned early on, trust and things, and all we read in the newspapers and see on the, in the media that things, all these AI tools are generating things that we can't believe anymore. So, first question: how do you manage that trust and do the validation?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. So, in fact, what we have is we actually have a regulatory element. So there are now rules coming out for ethical AI. What can you do with the AI, first of all, to ensure that it's used ethically? So we have to comply with European and North American standards. And then it's the explainable part, John. So I said what we have is we have the explainable AI. So if we have a naval operator looking at a vessel that has a risk assessment associated with it, it may be that the vessel had gone dark, it had done a rendezvous. He then hits the button that says, show me the explanation for this. And it will show that this vessel rendezvoused with a vessel in this location at this time for this period. Therefore, my risk rating is this, because I know that one of these vessels is on a sanction list or an embargo list. So what we find is that for those people that need to have confidence in it, we provide what is called explainable AI to verify the decision that the system is providing to you.
Okay. My second question, there's the AI systems, again, my knowledge is fairly limited on this, but, a lot of the systems are based on training data. So, again, you're looking at the minke whales, you train them on, to see all sorts of different views of minke whales, therefore it can decide. Are we getting to the point where AI is going to be able to make its own decisions, as opposed to just, in theory, looking back, comparing, yes, I think it's that one? When will it start thinking for itself?
Sure. Well, I mean, so there are various elements, and again, I think the presenter before gave a little bit of that. There's the rule-based one, right? So if a vessel is alongside another vessel for a period of this amount of time within this proximity, consider that a rendezvous. And then we have the unsupervised, where they simply start to learn things, that there are groupings and behaviors. So if all of the ships are going at a particular speed in rough weather, and one vessel is not, the system will identify there's something probably suspicious here, probably an engineering problem. And if there's an engineering problem 6,000 nautical miles away and 6 months away, I should flag that as a risk, because maybe that ship will lose power going out of Baltimore and run into a bridge, and therefore it should have a tug with it. All of that is identifiable. All of that information is out there. So there are varying degrees and varying techniques. It depends on what the application is, but the systems will in fact learn themselves and train themselves because it'll identify, well, this was a risk, it wasn't a risk. The operator can then put input information, and it does have the ability to teach itself in an unsupervised mode.
Thanks, Richard. Any last questions before we move on? No, great. Thanks, Richard.
Thank you.
So I have to check who's on next. I've no idea what's happening. Chris, we've never met Chris before, have we? No, we've seen him present, we've seen him ask questions. So I'll leave it over to you, mate.
I'll start off. I was happy yesterday that Peter received the Lifetime Achievement. My IP address has been blocked many times by the AIS Hub. I hope that by giving him some Belgian chocolates, he can hopefully whitelist my IP address. The reason why I'm thanking Peter for his amazing efforts is that AIS is not only about the information, it's also about the data and about the quantity of the data. And I'm honored. Actually, I wanted to work for this company, but they didn't have enough money to pay my salary. So I'm just a hired agent now, and I'm presenting XYZT.ai. And just as the first presenter, these guys were using AI before it was mainstream. So that .ai wasn't added for investor part or to entice people to give monopoly money to them. These guys are really handling large amounts of data. So what is XYZT.ai? It is a, check, there is the, yeah. What is it? It's a privacy-safe AI-powered platform. The AI allows me to come here today. And it's basically for visual analytics. Most people that use AIS data are not interested in the numbers or the characters. They're actually interested in the visuals. What is it doing on our planet, on this ball that we're all living? Massive location-based data sets. People that work with AIS know that once you start looking into the data, you quickly run into these huge data sets. And it's not only for AIS data, they also use it for mobility data. That's the reason why I'm here and not them are here, because they're actually presenting XYZT.ai at the Barcelona Smart City exposition, which is happily, I mean, they basically copied Karsten dates, and they are competing with the AIS Summit in Barcelona. Maybe they have a nicer place, maybe it's warmer there, but nevertheless, we're enjoying Hamburg also. So it basically transforms AIS data, sensor data, into actionable insights for safety, efficiency, and important today, the anomaly detection. We're talking about the shadow fleet. How does it work? You need data. These guys are platform developers, so they don't have their AIS network. Basically, they've made a, I think it's an exclusive deal with Spire to provide AIS data straight into their platform. So when you start using their platform, your first task is not to build the AIS network. You have already a lot of data. I know that Spire is not the best partner today, but okay, that's the one they went to a few years ago. And you can provide multiple layers and query, and that's the important part today, with generative AI. So this platform was built on AI, and it's using AI to interact with the user. And this might turn off a few data scientists. There is no need for programming. you can give this to managers, and if you give them a small training session, they will be able to use the xyzt.ai to create reports, dashboards, gain insights without writing any code. And very important, it can handle very, very large data sets, billions of records, scalably, and from traffic studies to vessels. So, what does it look like? I've put it in dark mode, that's the only one I could get, but basically you have your visualization, you have your property window, you have your very important time, so we have the latitude, longitude, the height, and then you have your temp, your time variable that's built into the platform. So here on the bottom, you have your time, which is not so easy to implement. I mean, it's easy to put dots on a chart, but it's not easy to put the trajectories on the chart. And then here you get some details about the selected point. So this is the main interface that most people or most users are constantly working with. It's very user-friendly. It's complex from a first point, but that's because you're handling billion records. So this is the user interface. Luckily, Bart has made a small demo, which I hope we can get the sound there. I will play it. Can we hear the sound coming from the HDMI?
Analyze.
Thank you.
So let me walk you through some of the data properties. So of course, there's the speed property. Ships, they sail at a certain speed. There's a heading. There's some identification information like the name of the ship, the IMO. There's the flag of the ship and so on. There's a draft, how deep the ship is and so on in the water. So lots and lots of properties that are available to analysts. And the nice thing about this natural language interaction is that it is sort of sensitive to how language works. So, and a nice example I always like to give is the difference between, for example, vessels fishing, which the AI interprets as, okay, the status property should be equal to be engaged in fishing, and that's what we now see on the map. We see density of where there is fishing activity. So, for example, for the intelligence community, that could be interesting to start analyzing illegal fishing. But of course, it could be other activity as well. But if I just swap the order of the words, I get a different meaning in the English language, but also the AI interprets it differently. It says, okay, now you're not looking for vessels that are fishing, but you are looking for vessels that are fishing vessels. So they are of the type fishing. And it's smart enough to do that, and it can sort of deduct that from the different properties in the data. And the nice thing is you can even do fishing vessels that are fishing, and the AI is smart enough to combine the two before. And in this case, I'm looking at all the vessels that are fishing. Another example I would like to give is how the large language model can inject knowledge into what you're doing. So not just interpreting the language here, but also adding some additional information into the query. And a nice example is, for example, to ask, show me all large vessels moving slowly. And as you can see, if you would do this in SQL or in any more structured language, or in code even, there's insufficient information. Because we don't specify what large means, we don't specify what slow means. And in this case, the AI sort of injects knowledge that it has learned from other sources into the query. And it has chosen 200 meters as large and 5 knots as slow. And 200 meters for a vessel is quite large. If you know that container vessels, they go up to 300, 400 meters. But a vessel of 200 meters is quite large. And if you want to change it now to a different number, you can just edit the filter, and it will do that it will update the map and the timeline and whatever you're looking at immediately. So this is a really nice example of how the AI is injecting injecting knowledge into the filter. The final thing I want to do, and I'm going to switch to trajectories for that. So in the platform, we can visualize data not just by points, but we can also visualize data by connecting points together. And then you get trajectories of vessel movement. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show another final example that does spatial temporal analytics. So not just filtering on the data. For that, I want to show you that I have 3 areas. So the AI knows about those areas. I just drew them before the webinar. There's a Port of Antwerp, Port of Bruges, Port of Rotterdam. And I'm going to use them in my query. And it's actually an example that we also gave in the demo movie that we sent out a couple of weeks ago. So the first thing I'm going to ask is, show me all traffic from Antwerp. So very similar to before, it's going to understand that I want all the routes or all the journeys of the vessels that are first inside Antwerp, and then they can be anywhere. So you see how quick it is to do that filter. Port of Antwerp, a couple of years ago, they merged with Bruges. So as an analyst, I'm not only interested in Port of Antwerp, I'm also interested in the traffic that leaves Bruges. Notice how I can just type Antwerp and Bruges, and it's smart enough to sort of fill in Port of Bruges because it knows those shapes are there on the map. And then finally, a little bit of competition in the maritime domain. And I even made a typo here, I see, but it's again correcting for that. I'm asking from all those ships, give me only the ones that after a while get to Rotterdam. And that's what you now see on the map. Interestingly, we also see a lot.
Yeah, thank you. So I think the demo has shown you that it's an easy to use platform to analyze billions of records. It has the temporal values, it has the location values, it has the properties that you're interested into. I know, I'm very sure there is smart people here that can build a platform like that. Believe me, these guys have spent many man-years in developer time to develop a very user-friendly platform. And then the next thing that's nice, that's probably not as easy to build yourself if you start from scratch, is the extra parts. So you get the reports, you can share a final conclusion, and that is not a static report. People can actually see what's happening in that report. You can collaborate on certain analysis. So you can use the dashboards. Of course, it's scalable. You need to handle a lot of data. It's privacy safe, and there is other additional functionality built into the platform. Thank you for your attention.
Right.
If you have
very much.
any technical questions, this is their website and this is their email address. I'm very sure they're interested. They would have liked to be here, but they cannot cut themselves in two, so they went to Barcelona. But if you are interested in this platform, if you're interested in a demo, contact them. They'll be happy to get in touch with you.
Okay, have we got any questions or comments from that? I've just got, oh, sorry. The stage is being rushed.
Stage jumper.
I've just got one comment. That those of you that know me know that I'm a real cynic. You know, I need convincing of lots of things. And, you know, we saw there, you know, I've been in the geospatial world a long time. And, you know, we see these applications that they're doing spatial queries, they're, you know, looking at, it seems to me that these sort of things are just a very simple, they're just a different way of accessing what is there already. You know, we saw in the fouling application AI, they're trying to use, you know, clever ways of finding information. You know, yes, you can put lots and lots of data into here, but it's, you know, you can't just ask it any question. You know, it's just a question based on the data. So I still need to be convinced that, you know, how AI will really move us forward. So, anybody agree, disagree? Anybody buy me a beer? No? Okay. Okay, that was my comment anyway. Right.
No, I fully agree. It's also for XYZT, it's a difficult sell because they're actually doing something that you could probably build in your own. But they're in there for the long term, and that's the thing I like about them is that they really listen to potential customers because they have the same cynical questions as you do, And then they have to prove to that customer that their solution, the platform, offers quicker returns than if you would build it yourself or if you would just get another party to give you insights. This, if you're trained well, and I'm talking maybe half a day, you can really get your business intelligence people to handle large amounts of data, come in with creative insights and say, what if we map the weather data together with the AIS data, and then you can ask simple questions, no coding, simple questions. Does it give you the right answer? Maybe yes, maybe no. So that's the cynical answer there. I'm convinced that if you put this in somebody that knows how to use the platform, they can handle large amounts of data much faster than if they have to do it in the manual or in the coding way.
Yeah.
That's
again, there are companies like Palantir out there who have become billion dollar companies by doing similar things. Anyway, I'll hand across now to Carsten. Yes, thank you. Anyway,
thank you.
Sorry for stealing the mic, but because our schedule is a little bit messy, the first speaker was a little bit late. I think it's not his fault, but let me say a few words about him because I think he's really a remarkable person. It's not only because we are friends and he lives in my neighborhood. He is, and we are having today two Ukrainian guys here. I mean, because of the war, the Russian-Ukrainian war, a lot of bright, intelligent people had to leave their country. A lot of them came to Hamburg, luckily. So, and he is one of them. And he is covering a lot of things that I like, and that's also why I really like to talk with him. We are meeting almost, not daily, on a weekly basis, because it's also in the neighborhood. He is in games, what I yesterday presented. He also has programmed his own game he's promoting. He has developed a ship management software, which is in use of a couple of major ship managers here in Hamburg. And that's what he is going to present now. He's in the crypto world, a very known person. And crypto is something which is new for me. I mean, we had yesterday Owen's presentation, who is also and got also the prize during the dinner for the most promising project. I think Valera is maybe a little bit advanced in terms of the crypto. Maybe he's not so advanced in terms of the AIS, but he's here to educate us a little bit and show us about the crypto. And for me, this could be still a way to motivate data sharing and also bring people together in terms of how to distribute and swap data in terms of rewards for doing this. So, stage is yours, Valera. Thank you for coming and tell us a little bit about you and about Cedra.
Thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank you. First of all, I want to thank Carsten, for my friend and neighbor, for the help and support that you give to me. He's a really bright guy, and it's a honor for me that I know you. Now, regarding the project, I have two projects. First project is solution in maritime industry. I'm not going to talk about it. And the second solution is blockchain that we built so far. So we have a layer 1 blockchain, and we are going to launch it very soon. Now it's on the testnet, so everything is ready to the launch. We just wait when project will launch on it. So what I wanted to say, 8 years ago, head of JP Morgan said that crypto is fraud and it will blow up. Now, JP Morgan sells for their clients Bitcoin ETFs. So what I want to say is that market is changing and evolving, and financial markets start slowly to adopt crypto in their financial system. Where is the laser here? Here we go. So as you can see, this is a total transaction volume for the last 12 months. And as you can see, 1.7 trillion is the transaction of PayPal. 16 trillion is the amount of transactions for the last 12 months of the Visa. And 9 trillion transactions is the real amount of transactions of stable coins like United States dollars, digitalized United States dollars. So amount is growing. This is a report of A16Z. This is one of the biggest venture funds in the world who invest in the crypto. So 46 transactions is a bubble. I mean that there is a lot of bots, trading bots inside of the crypto that increase the volume, but this is 9 trillion is the real transactions. So crypto in some way is still a little bit shady thing because there is a lot of automated bots and a lot of market makers who try to increase the volume, but slowly it has an adoption and people start to use crypto to make transactions. I'm not talking about the tokens, all these things where people take money and disappear. I'm talking about the real usage of crypto. So what we decided to do, after a long conversation with Carsten, I understood that there is a problem that it's possible to use AIS data inside of the crypto, and it's possible to make a marketplace where people will be able to provide the data and receive rewards for this data. And it's possible to do for several types of data providers this solution. So what we can do, we have a layer 1 blockchain as a base, and on this layer 1 base, we build a solution, a decentralized marketplace, where people can provide the data providers, where validators can check this data. Since we have validator nodes and data nodes that handle the blockchain, we can add a part that will take the data from the data providers, store it, and provide access to the buyers for this data. So simply saying, we build a decentralized marketplace where you as data provider can give the data to blockchain and set the price for the data that you would like to charge or receive some standard reward for the data that you provide and earn from the data that you receive. And everything is decentralized. So buyer can pay directly inside of the blockchain smart contract, receive a special key, and use the data. And rewards that payments that buyer will pay will go to the reward pool. Part of the payment will go to the network, and part of the payment will go to the data providers and validators. So in short, what I present here is a solution where data providers can feed the data into the blockchain and receive rewards for the data that they have. And through the validators, you can validate the data and use this data and be sure that this data has enough quality. What we have so far, we have AIS live data streaming in development. We launch in Q1 2026. Next steps that we do, based on the data that we receive and start to collect, we launch historical data marketplace. And if everything goes well, we will launch processed data marketplace, everything on chain. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me. Here is my contact information. And here is a QR code where you can fill out the form if you would like to participate in this project. Thank you very much.
Questions? I've got a question. You make the question. Okay, well, again, I've got a question, but let's open it. Anybody else? Anybody got any questions? There, right, Peter.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. But my question is how the seller and buyer will reach the deal. For example, let me give an example. If we provide data from port of Varna into your system, and somebody else is interested to buy data from Varna, how in reality will this contract will happen?
Okay, it's working. Yes. Yes. I think it was working also. So in reality, you just go to the website as you usually go, pay for the data. For the end user, there will be no difference at all. And on the backend side, there could be several interfaces where you can purchase this data. So in reality, the adoption will be very easy. There will be no any crypto payments inside. We can use a gateway where you go take your credit card or make a wire transfer and purchase directly. So here the main idea is that the data that you provide is decentralized. And there is several nodes, several servers that store this data. And I, as a company, don't own the data. It's inside of the blockchain. So for the end user, there will be no difference where he will buy. It's just a generic website.
Okay, and, question there for Alex.
Alex Morkin, CTEC. Thank you, Valera. Very nice presentation, but I'm still confused because I'm not so proficient with bitcoins, how they produce, data mining, and everything else. But I believe you took some kind of idea from this crypto idea, crypto projects, and apply it for AIS. Is it correct?
In some way, yes, correct.
And what I'm confused, in Bitcoin or like some kind of digital world currency, we have Bitcoin itself. So it's pretty known, like some kind of item. So, for example, tell me I'm right or not. For example, we have like a lot of data mining, like which produce Bitcoin. So it means those AIS provider, it could be the same like data mining, or I'm completely wrong.
Yes, you are correct. So the data provider will look like data, like a miner in Bitcoin. So you have a data, you provide this data, and you receive a reward for the correct validated data. And
okay, thank you. But then explain me. For example, if I'm producing like some kind of data mining, like some kind of Bitcoin, I know it's Bitcoin. What about AIS data? If I produce, how it's like equal something else? Do you have some kind of type of AIS currency or something else?
I think that AIS currency, yes, it's a good idea to provide AIS currency, but I think that if people will receive a real reward, real money in United States dollars, digitalized in crypto version of United States dollars, it will be better for the users. So my idea is to give reward to data providers in real money, not in crypto. So we will give reward in crypto version of United States dollar to the data providers.
Understood, but another question which actually I started to ask, everybody knows what is Bitcoin. How much it costs is like fluctuating. What about AIS data? It's different. Nobody knows is it real or not. I can produce like from my computer a lot of AIS data, just practically just put some algorithm and send data. Who is going to check me? Is it right data or not?
But how do you validate the data right now from the AIS data providers?
How we validate? No, first of all, we have, of course, format of data. We are checking first format. Is it correct format or not? The garbage we put away, just it. So then it's pretty hard to understand, is it real data or not?
I've got a comment on that, which is my question. So, you know, the way I see this, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's basically pay by use. You know, if you use data, ping, you pay for it. About, well, 11, 12 years ago, Exact Earth, we started looking at a pay-per-use pricing system. We had all these nice dots on screens and all that, and people had pay by use. We hit two major problems. Again, this is a long time ago, so things might have changed. We hit two major problems. The first was people had budgets for data. So I've got $50,000 a year for the data, and if I start using more data, ching, 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 my budget's gone after 8 months. My business doesn't do anything for the last 4 months, or I find more money. That was a problem, certainly selling into government. And then the other thing was, AIS data. Again, fundamentally, it's a dot on a map. We said, right, here's the price for using this, pay by use. We launched a couple more satellites. As opposed to giving somebody 10 dots per minute, for example, they suddenly got 15 dots per minute. Better data, but were they prepared to pay 50% more because they got 15 dots rather than 10 dots? And we hit all sorts of issues in terms of usage. So let me ask the question to you guys in the audience who buy AIS data. Would you consider, changing from, say, paying $10,000 per annum for your data feed to say, okay, I'll pay, 0.00001, bitcoins, or well, let's just keep it, to euros for data. So pay by use, where you don't really have a control as to how much you spend. Anybody would prefer that way, or would you rather stick to pay the money and you have guaranteed data? I'm seeing a nod on the guaranteed data here. Anybody else? Carsten?
I don't think that this is the question, because if you want to pay, let's say, for annual contract, Valera would be also happy to receive the money in that way. I mean, that is more the way to reward the producer of the data, my understanding, but maybe I'm wrong also.
Sorry,
Can I answer? Yes. Regarding the quality of the data, I put here validators. So it's more in crypto terminology. But this part is a server which validates the data and validates the quality. And first person who provide quality data that is possible to validate and check will receive the reward. So simply saying, I can generate a lot of data, but for example, in 24 hours, you will be able to check from the other data sources that your data is quality, has enough quality. So inside of the validator, server, we will use different type of the sources to validate the data if it was correct or no. Here, the main idea is that data providers could be first one who provides the quality data. And if data provider provides not quality data, he will not receive reward and he will receive some sort of fine. So inside of this process, there is one key element that will validate the data and tell you if the data is quality or no.
Okay, so I think fundamentally, you've got the buyer at the end. In the future, will those buyers be prepared to pay on a per token basis is the big question. I don't have an answer to that. Alex probably does.
First of all, I really like this idea. It's very, very interesting. Even I feel I would like to participate if you need anything from me from point of validation data, because we have long, like 20 years history comparing different data, Quest Space, Orbcom, Exactior, Spire, a lot of, I have my own like Canadian AIS network. So it means fully support this project, very fascinated, like thank you, Carsten, you could find this young man. I really appreciate it. So if you need any support, including money, tell me.
Thank you very much.
Great, thanks, Valera.
Okay, thank you very much, Valera. And there is another young gentleman, little bit younger than you, Valera, who probably everybody has already seen here in the room. He was responsible for the setup that we have built here. This is not his main job. I'm working with him together on a daily basis. He's also from the Ukraine, came to Hamburg, applied first, did an internship with us. He's a very, very bright person. And I think that is now 1 year ago, or is it 1.5 years ago? 1.5 years ago. And we were looking into AI. And I asked him, Harry, just me play a little bit it. I don't really believe in it, but maybe there will be something we can use, not sure. And we started with a lot of things, and then, yeah, I was really amazed what you can do with it. And he moved then from an intern to the head of our AI development, and he will present a little bit the journey on this. And we are still investigating, researching what are the possibilities. We already found some use cases, but I also believe that there will be much, much more use cases for AI in the future. So give a warm clap for my colleague, Harry.
Thank you very much, Karsten, for the introduction. Okay, it's on. So as Karsten has already mentioned, I've been basically looking at your presentations for the last 2 days, and I've always been interested in shipping industry, how it works, and I've seen it from the inside, and the outside view is really insightful. But today I want to start with introducing myself a little bit more. So my name is Harry. I'm a full stack developer at Trusted Dogs, also known as the guy running the slides. And 5 years ago, I signed a contract and embarked on a large container vessel to work as an engineer. The company I worked for, they've just recently got listed on some exchange, and that's why the public image was very important for them. And they had a clause in the contract that I was not allowed, I was strictly forbidden from taking any kind of pictures during work. However, there was no mention of videos. So every day I would wake up at 6 a.m. I would do the safety round in the engine room. I would check the oil, the fuel levels, take readings, and go for breakfast, daily meeting, job assignments, basically what I have now at Trusted Dogs. Now remember, for legal reasons, okay, it stopped. Okay, so for legal reasons, I have to call these pictures screenshots, because I'm forbidden from taking pictures, only screenshots. Yeah, this is me holding a wrench, normal size. This one is a little bit bigger. Another one, I think this is the same one. Boiler room, very hot, you see steam coming up. Also just checking, making sure everything runs smoothly. Yeah, so you get the idea of what kind of work I did. And believe it or not, we had a basketball net on the board, on the poop deck. And in 6 months that I've been on board, not a single ball was lost overboard. And another great thing on board that every single crew member waits for is Sunday, because on Sunday we had barbecues. We got beer for free from captain. Lots of fish, shrimp, crabs, whatever you can imagine. Yeah. And of course I traveled a lot. I think this is Egypt. This must be France. Berlin. India. China. I love China, very love Chinese food. India again. Well, you might be wondering why am I showing you all these pictures? Believe it or not, they are all AI generated. So they are all AI generated, and we love AI at Trusted Docs. And Trusted Docs is the central platform for global maritime data. Basically, we have vessel positions, we track vessel movements, historical data, ETAs, whatever you need. We have a comprehensive database of vessels, active vessels, ordered vessels, scrapped vessels, vessel equipment, and much more. And naturally, some problems arise with this amount of data. Like some of the companies that have registered for 5 years ago, for 10 years ago, their contacts have changed, their scope of work has changed. We need to somehow detect it, update the data. Some companies from Asia are hard to research, to look into, unless, even if you know what you're searching, it's hard to find. And also the data that we get from the API is every time different, so every source has a different format. And we used AI, I think, successfully to solve at least some of those problems. And from now on, every new company, every new entity that registers at Trusted Docs is required to provide their website during sign-up process. And as soon as they provide their website, we crawl it, we extract the markdown content, we extract the fields such as their contacts information, their location, ports of service, tags, products, whatever. We extract it and enrich the profile in our database. Of course, we run it retroactively to make sure that the data is as fresh as possible. You can see the example prompt. It's not rocket science. Another example is the data we get from API about the ship equipment. Actually, this example is at least a bit readable, but many of them are just a complete mess, no semicolons, no columns, no dots, no nothing. And it would be a nightmare to process all of them. And what we did is just feed the data to LLM, get the structured JSON back, and boom, we have a nicely structured data on our website that can be searched, scraped, whatever. Another thing we do at Trusted Docs is monitor basically maritime news. So we keep track of press releases from ship managers, shipbuilders. We look into news, into detentions, into X and Telegram feeds. We use those publications to extract valuable info and provide it to our customers. Like this is a good example. You see to the left a press release from a Chinese shipyard. Boom, to the right, everything is extracted, everything is matched with the companies from our database, and we have a nicely human readable news example. This is just another example of a detention event. Basically, we receive a comprehensive inspection results for every ship, and we can use it to provide valuable insights to service providers that might benefit from information about deficiencies. Last year, we also tried, we experimented a bit with agents, and we built Ella Trusted Docs. Ella Trusted Docs is a maritime assistant that uses the data that we have. And as somebody said yesterday, the answers are as good as the data. And basically, we have all the data we need. And if you ask Ella, what does she know about Hamburg Express, she will tell you all the ship's particulars, she will tell you where the ship is, she will send you a link to a map, of course to Trusted Docs website. And another simple example is what if I need to do some urgent repair on a Hamburg Express? We would call our API, internal API, get the results and format it very nicely for the person who's asking. Yeah, and the current project is porting the whole Ella setup to mobile app. We use React Native plus Convex, and it's one project for iOS, Android, and web. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the audience? There we go, Alex.
Thank you, very nice presentation, Alex Morkin, CTEC. I'm not so proficient, unfortunately, with artificial intelligence, agents, and everything else. So just clarify for me, you're getting data from open source, is it correct? From internet and everything else?
Yes, correct.
Okay. At this point, how many vessels do you have in your database? And if you have particular fields, how many fields for each vessel?
I can tell you that the number is very big, very big. So the last time we did processing of the information about the ship particulars, we did 30,000 rows. But this was only the information that was missing or not properly formatted.
No, what I try to compare, I'm buying data from Lloyd's, all vessel particulars. I have approximately 120,000 vessels, each of them 100 fields, and I have a full database of existing vessels. So what about your project? You provide some kind of like free data, or what is the end of this?
Yeah, thank you for your question. This kind of question is best asked to Carsten, because he's the guy who's running the business.
Behind everybody was Carsten.
Alex, to answer it, you should not buy it from Lloyd's List, you should buy it from us. And I think we have, or from Peter, I think he also has a good vessel database, so you don't need Lloyd's List or IHS anymore.
It's good.
We probably also will find a way to make it very cheap for you.
No, but I ask how many vessels?
Yeah, around, you have 80,000 commercial vessels, around 80, 90,000, and then maybe 100, 150 fields. Will be quite similar, maybe even better what you're getting now. I can tell you.
It's very fascinating, yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
Okay, thanks, Alex. I've got oh, sorry. Save my question.
Yeah, thank you so much. Carsten and Harry, wonderful work. My question was, yes, you get this data. How often is this data updated? So the key thing is vessels will change name, vessels will change flag. How do you monitor that?
What I meant by updating the data for the vessels is the vessel equipment. So whatever the vessel has on board, like the main engine, the auxiliary engine, and if the name changes, the equipment doesn't change, so there is no need to update it.
Maybe to give an answer, I mean, we are buying a global AIS data feed from our friends from LuxSpace, and there we are having the name changes, etc. What we also do, and that could be also an interesting thing, we are monitoring the PSC offices around the world. So also this was a project Harry did, and we're also doing it with AI. So all the PSCs are constantly scraped via website, and they have I don't know, hundreds of records per day, and the records also include vessel name, technical managers, deficiencies, etc. And it's, when you look into this data, it's quite interesting. I don't know who is doing this. There's also something we could help. Everybody can do it, but it takes some time, and the devil is really into to the details. But then you are getting a lot of information out of the PSCs, and I'm really astonished that almost all vessels have deficiencies in these times. So there are, and we also rank then the ship managers, so you can see, and then you can see a difference between ship managers. There are ship managers whose ships are probably really rotten and they have a lot of deficiencies, and there are some ship managers who trying to be clean and have a clean sheet, and then they have maybe 80% good ships or so, but I've never seen ship managers with 100% good fleet. But by doing this, checking the PSC offices, Tokyo, Paris, Abidjan, whatever, so he has done it all, and also using AI for it. And this is also done on a daily basis, updating. Okay.
One very last question. We spoke earlier on in Richard's talk about trust and trusting the data. Could you go back to the Hamburg Express example? There you go, that one. Whether I'm reading it wrong, the last docking of the vessel is recorded on July 21st, 2024, and then down below it's got the next estimated time of arrival is November the 6th, 2025. Am I missing something? What's the difference in the docking? That's a year and a half.
This
probably
means.
What's it been doing for a year and a half?
This probably means a dry dock.
That's a dry dock. Okay, that's okay. That's my lack of knowledge. Okay.
Yeah, for the deficiencies, I can tell you, I was a master on board the vessel, and when the port state controller, the PSC guy, came on board, we always ensured that he would find the deficiency. That's his job. His job is to find deficiencies. Of course, you want him to find an a non-risk deficiency. That would be like a fire extinguisher that's not in location, and then we just put it in location. He would be happy because he could write a report deficient because fire extinguisher not in location, and we could solve that within a few minutes. He did his job, we did our job, but the result is that indeed none of the ships are perfect. So that's the important part here, is to differentiate between these non-risk deficiencies and high-risk deficiencies, and I think that's where a lot of data can really help you out, because if you just do it on the number of deficiencies, that's not sufficient. You really need to do it on the type of deficiencies. So that's a very important detail, and yeah, Karsten said it, the devil is indeed in the details.
Great, thank you, Harry.
Thank you.
So as our next speaker is still on his way to the Deutsche Bundesbahn, and Harry, can you stay here, please? Because you have to help us a little bit. So there is one gentleman in the room, and I'm very happy that he found his way to Hamburg from Azerbaijan, which is a country I have never been. I would be really interesting to go there. And he represents a company who has also the AI in it. I know the founder quite well, even I have never met him in person. The company I'm talking is called Magicport. It's a startup, or he will tell us a little bit. It's Magicport AI. Please give a warm welcome to Tural Aliyev from Azerbaijan. And Harry, maybe you can support him a little bit, bringing his laptop here on the screen.
The next location for AIS Summit. Sorry, do you have an HDMI?
Hi, my name is Tural. Actually, First of all, I would like to thank all of you because I am in this shipping industry for 3 years with Magicport. We started in Singapore. We are a Singapore-based company. So I haven't prepared any presentation because I didn't know that I will present something, but I have just mixed together some presentation slides from other presentations that we have done recently. So I will do that and I will go over, and I will mainly focus on the AI part that we are currently doing. But main thing, we are focusing on the smart port calls, and we want to automate this process and make the customer's life easier. So in this sense, short, we are a Singapore-based company, but we have team members in Azerbaijan, Turkey, United States. One is in Germany and also in Singapore. So yes, we are a new startup, and we are growing, and we have raised around $2 million. So yes, in pre-seed funds. So what we are focusing on mainly the smart port calls, but as you know, it's not efficient. But again, I will not focus on the things because this is the AIS part, this is the data part that we want to focus on. And our vision is first, the one pillar of the company is just the visibility. I mean, we are providing visibility for the companies who are serving the vessels like ship agents. These are the companies. Just a second. Yes, we have a director of the ports, vessels, and the companies that I am like a service providers, suppliers, ship agents, owner managers, shipyards, not like trusted stocks, and tugboat companies, and we are also adding the bunkering suppliers and brokers to our system. So this is our window to the world. So also we add AI that I will show it. And the second one is about we have 2 initiatives, and we are mainly working on 2 initiatives. What we think about AI is just we are creating AI bots as a team members of our system. So whenever you are just calling them, I will try to demo it for you that we are working on it, but we haven't released yet. As a team members, you can tag your team member and ask anything about vessels, or you can say that please generate the PDA, and it is generating the PDA for the ship agents. So yes, I have a video here, but before that I will try to do online if it will not work, and then I will do the video. So yes. Yes, this is our Magicport, and the guy from the vessel said we also have around 86,000 vessels. So we are just mainly focusing on merchant vessels. So in our database, it can change daily. And as you asked, I mean, we are just daily, we are just processing, we are updating, and etc. So yes, and also we have the 2 products, as I mentioned. One is the maritime intelligence, the other is the port call management. Maritime intelligence for the companies that are serving to the vessels, and the port call management solution is for the mainly ship agents who are doing all the operations, and they are doing all the operations through our system. So the maritime intelligence product is like this. So, and if we will see, okay, if we will write that, show me the vessels that are coming to Hamburg port in next days, and you will see the vessels that are coming. And also, these are the lists, and here is 36 vessels that coming, and just you can see on the map, and you can click, and as you know, the different types means different colors. And then you can go to the vessel page and also see the details of the vessel, like general ownership, and also if it is sanctions or not, and navigation data, and it is, you can switch to just, we have last 12 months of port call history. Yeah, these are the things that you can see, and port visits, class surveys, etc., and engine details. So what we did is, we put this everything to the AI. So yesterday there was maritime AI vessel data, I think, and today, so yesterday there was a vessel. So it was about Shusha, so it is related to Azerbaijan, that's why I just wrote. Yeah, you can see all the details about Shusha vessel, and you can ask any question like, is it sanctioned? I'm just writing, it's not in correct way, so reason. Yeah, it's saying that it's have been to, I mean, it has sanctions and etc. So these are the things. The second thing, today, it was about Hamburg Express. Maybe I just. This is the vessel. I think it's coming to Hamburg, or yeah. It also has some details about the management and also about the technical details that you can see and you can use, and you can ask follow-up questions. So this is our AI, but this is we integrated to magicport.ai. But the second one that what we have done, but I will try to show it. This is the Magicport X that we are building now. This is the communication platform. So in our port call management, we have two platforms. One is the job management, and the other is the communication management. What is the communication management? We integrated an email system to our system. So you don't need to go to the Outlook or other system. You just first integrate and add the users, and then you can just go over and do some sharing inbox and etc. etc. So in this sense, what we are doing right now, we are integrating our two bots into the system. One is like, maybe I'll show this. So for instance, if the agency received this kind of email, so we are just saying that, we are just asking our PDA bot, no, first MI bot, Maritime Intelligence Bot, CSCL Globe. The one that we have done in our Magicport, this is the bot that doing the similar thing in our system. I hope it will work. If not, I will, yeah. Yes, here are the details. So you can say that, okay, show me. So you can ask whatever you want regarding the vessel, this vessel. Yes, it says that it has been to different ports in different times. So the second thing is our PDA automation bot. We just say that we say that please help. So this, it says that I need some additional information, birth periods. Okay, I will. I just need to tag because there are real persons here and also So here you can not only tag your AI bots, but you can also tag your current employees who are in this system. So I hope it will work. Yeah. So it says that, okay, this is the port call calculation, and I say yes. It calculates all the things that the vessel is coming with, all the fees, and it automatically creates a job that we will use in our port call management. We say that it's a test job, and from customer is this, it automatically detects. It's a charterer. It will come tomorrow, and it will have 2 days, and who is the agent, and cost center, this is the test data, and the branch is head office. And from here, which is the automatically integrated our system, it's coming and saying that, okay, I have done this, do you want to add or change these kind of things? I said, yes, save these. And now it is generating a report and adding to the email that automatically you can send. Yes, this is the report it has generated. You can do some change in your report, but yes. Internet problems. Sorry? But it was working good. I'll try. Okay. So, yes, so what we are thinking about these bots as the team member, yeah, this is the pro forma dispersed account that was built by AI, and this, after that, you can just attach and send to the person from here, and it will attach here, and you can attach other files as well. So these are the things that we are working on. So yes, we treat these bots as the team members in our system, and we are just, whenever we want, we are just adding them and asking and getting the results. Yes, and Magicport, we are doing these kind of things. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, do we have any questions? Very impressive demo. Well, we'll start from the front and work back then.
Turil, thank you very much. Very impressive. What I wanted to understand is that given that these days vessels have wrong MMSIs being sent out, wrong IMOs being sent out, how do you tackle that? Because your bots take over and they'll just use that information. So what are you doing to ensure that the data that is underlying is being taken care of or validated?
Yeah. As I mentioned, we are getting, the reason that I'm here, we have AIS provider and data provider. We need to add more data providers to our system so that there will be some validation, like Vasily mentioned. So we are just updating our data in maybe in 2 hours. Regularly, we are updating data based on MMSI because some vessels doesn't have IMOs. But in our directory, you can see the vessels with IMOs. But we have also the vessels which are small, they don't have IMOs or MMSI. So every 2 hours, we are updating all their locations and etc.
Yes, thank you. Sander van Dijk with Ambry. My question is actually an extension of the previous one. So the previous presentation also mentioned that the answers are as good as the data, but yes, LLMs, they're known to hallucinate and sometimes come up with questions or answers that are not in the data at all. So also on the output side, do you do any verification? And I think maybe that's a question for all the LLM approaches, like how can you ensure that the answers can actually be trusted?
Yeah. Actually, we have built this and released 1.5 months ago, this AI bot. So every day we are doing evals, and we are seeing what the user are asking and what our bot is answering. And in the beginning, it just wrote our endpoints to the end user, and says that these are the endpoints, or some technical names that you can see also in PDA bot. So we are doing regular evals, code evals, and also the human evals, and LLM as a judge. So that's why we are improving this. So it will take some time to improve, but there were some answers that we didn't want to give. It was hallucinating. We said that whatever you have information, please answer. If not, then say that I am not able to answer this question. So yes, we are doing this daily. We are looking at the daily data, and if there is a missing follow-up question, if missing information, so we are just refining our prompts.
Yes, hi.
Hi.
Just wanted to ask you about how you think about the privacy of the data. I mean, are your intention to aggregate that information, or is it something that you're going to keep so that each customer has their own privacy kept?
Yes, each customer has own privacy. We are not, I mean, we cannot see their data, but for the eval things, we are just making anonymous users so that we can understand the what type, I mean, what's the follow-up question. So on the portal, you can ask 5 questions daily, and if you are signing up, you can ask 50 questions. For this, we are just anonymizing the users for the eval process, but all the data is on the customer side. We are not even seeing who is having what data. Yeah. Actually, we are not using the user data in these bots, actually. For the email management that Magiport X, the companies say that, okay, we want, in order for them to make automation in this process, our bot needs to read their emails. But we first talk to our customer and say that, okay, do you give confirmation that it will read your email, and based on this, it will do other things. Like, I didn't say that auto tagging, you can say that, okay, tag if it is urgent, etc. There is auto tagging things also in our system. So yes, we are getting consent from the user on that.
Carsten, Tural, first, congratulations, and also very good presentations out of nothing without preparation, so very well done. I have a question for the bot. You have seen Harry and we also looked in the bot, in the chatbot. We did something similar. And also it works good, and it's nice developing something like this. But to be very frank, we have not really found a user who wants to use it. That's a little bit our problem. So we have a solution, and now we are finding the problem, and we haven't found the problem. But maybe who can use this and for what purpose? I mean, we have done almost the same, but we are still finding somebody who is utilizing it. We even don't want people to pay for it. We're just looking for people to use it.
Yeah, actually, a good question that we. And yesterday we have a similar question that, okay, people are using, how we will monetize this. So in this sense, what we were doing is the Magiport.ai, this is our window to the world that people are coming, and monthly there are about 200,000 people are coming. And they are looking for the vessels, but also they were asking, please provide the contact details, or please, what is the owner of, who is the owner of the vessel, etc. So they just came here and just go to the contact forum and ask some questions. So based on this, we started thinking about which questions that we are receiving so that we can do that. After that, we put only on the main page, and so that, no, it's not working. So what we have done is, for instance, the tornado vessel. Before we put TDO here, this is a live chatbot, and they were asking on the vessel pages. So they were mainly asking the owner manager, contact details, and the mainly about the vessel and their owners. So we said, okay, just click to ask about specific vessel. So we, based on the live chat that we have put, and we received these questions. Based on this, we started focusing on mainly on this part of the question. So people are using, but not as much as right now.
Last one.
So, Churil, on that account, have you sort of come to a conclusion what the user profile is? Because typically, being from the shipping industry, it's mostly the ship channelers who will come and try and get those details. So I'm sure that that's not your focus for the clients, yeah?
No, actually,
and with regard to PDA, when you have this open source like this, when people are querying, are they able to see the port disbursements as well, or that is not allowed?
No, actually for the PDI automation, only our customers are using the PDI automation. For this, yes, mainly, this is used mainly by ship suppliers, channelers, ship service providers, ship agents, and some logistics companies, and they want to get more about the owners, so that they can contact them and say that, okay, your vessel is coming next 5 days, we have these services, and please send us requests.
So just a quick question.
Yeah.
At certain stage, would you want them to pay you for this? Because you're passing this information to them, and they are then going and doing business with those guys.
How is we monetizing these? They are asking 5 questions, and then we say that, okay, go and get free trial of our maritime intelligence. So we are putting free user to the free trial for 7 days, and after that, if they like it, they can pay and continue using. So our monetization process is like this.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. Very good presentation.
Thank you very much.
And it appears that Deutsche Bahn has delivered.
So no, Deutsche Bahn has made it and brought us. They are not, unfortunately, we don't, or what means unfortunately, but we have seen a lot of companies coming to the AIS Summit from all over the world, but we have not seen so many German companies coming to here. So I'm happy that there is at least one company which I'm not involved from Germany has found a way to Hamburg. They are from their headquarter is, or they are based in Berlin. They are part of a bigger group. I don't know if somebody knows Flagship Founders, so they came up with the idea founding more and more maritime startup. They are one of them. I'm very happy that they're here. I have never met them in person, and that's also why I have to look a little bit to spell the name right. It's a CTO, because I asked them, please give us a more technical presentation, what you do with AI and AIS. So the company the name is Silenic from Berlin, and the CTO has just found a way to the AIS Summit. It's Paramveer Singh. So welcome, Paramveer. Stage is yours, and hope it works in the last minute. Please. And it's the last presentation for now.
Hello, everyone. As you know, I'm already late because Deutsche Bahn made me late, and now I have to figure out how to mirror my screen. Awesome. We are Selenic, so I represent Selenic. I'm the CTO of Selenic. Just before I start, a short introduction on Selenic. Selenic is a 1.5-year-old startup. What we are building is an agentic AI tool which can complement fleet ops, can work with fleet ops hand in hand, a little bit of a co-pilot to some extent, but we kind of want to do it a little bit more than that. A big part of what we are building is basically giving hands and arms to AI, specifically in context of shipping. What we want to do is we want to connect AI with all the relevant tools which a fleet ops might need, a fleet ops might use, and you can do a bunch of things with it. So once you connect AI to tools like AIS specifically, there's quite a lot you can open up. So when traditionally you see agentic tools working, they don't really work with real-time data that well, and specifically to proprietary data or data which is kind of in closed spaces. Like AIS, it's not an easy thing to get hands on. What we are basically doing is Selenic can integrate with internal company data, so you can bring your own internal company data, could be your manuals, could be your SMS, could be your SOPs, any sort of internal documentation you have within your company. You can take that, you can put it into Selenic, and then you can ask questions over it. So that's like a very basic part of what we do. You put your data in, and we basically make it presentable, and you have an AI solution which can answer you questions over your own data. The answering part is the more complex part, because what we want to do is we want to make these answers really context aware, really rich. So it's not just about answering something out of someone's documentation. So it's not just building a classical RAG system which can just talk over someone's documents. What we are doing, we have 3 pillars, and one of the pillars is vessel-specific data. So that data could be AIS data, engine specifications, vessel specifications, so hyper-contextualizing what the vessel is. Then there are company integrations. What we want to do is kind of integrating within company systems, ERPs, PMS systems, their own SharePoint systems, any sort of document management systems, emails. And then the third pillar is the regulatory pillar, which we want to connect eventually with all the other pillars. So MARPOL, SOLAS, STCW, FLAG, CFR, so any sort of regulation data which comes in. Why kind of it's important to connect these 3 pillars? Because if you go into MARPOL and you say Annex 3 of MARPOL, Annex 3 of MARPOL kind of defines where the vessel is. So if you are asking a question about, can I do ballast water cleanup in certain area of the ocean, you need to know where the vessel is, you need to know how far it is from the land to apply some sort of regulation on it. And that's what Selenic is trying to solve. When a user asks a question about some sort of operation they need to do in certain part of the ocean, Selenic is kind of aware where the ocean is, where the vessel is, how far is it from land, and based on that it can kind of help a seafarer navigate basic operations better. Within Selenic, this is how application looks like basically. So it's not a chat where you have a LLM and you can go talk with the LLM, but it's more around a vessel. So what Selenic is doing, it's kind of integrating with different AIS vendors. So depending on what a customer has, or we bring our own AIS data, we connect it with Selenic. A customer can onboard their vessel onto Selenic, and Selenic is using a bunch of different data points from a vessel. As an example, it kind of knows the flag of the vessel, it knows the location of the vessel, and then hyper-contextualizes the answers. So all in all, the point is that Selenic is kind of putting its hands into different tooling within shipping, and one big part of that for us is AIS, as an example. Yeah, so I mean, all in all, the approach we have is that we want to build a bit of a fleet intelligence layer. So where someone can go in, they can see where their vessel is, they can ask questions around that, they can ask questions around the operational aspects of where the vessel is. They eventually would even be able to ask questions around which parts of the ocean have more incidents happening, more detentions happening, how should I operate my fleet in that particular area of the ocean, or generally as a seafarer, they are able to ask more intelligent questions, not just have documents thrown at them where they are just having a document in their hand and then they have to figure out everything on their own. Selenic acts a little bit like partner, which can absorb quite a lot of data and make things meaningful for them. That is Selenic. That was what I wanted to present. It's short, and I thought people can ask me questions.
Great, thank you. So any questions? There we go.
Yeah, thank you, Parmi, for presenting that. I think the question is, how do you see the industry adopting this? And how many users do you see, and where do you see this growing?
So I mean, this tool is already live on around 50 vessels. So around 50 vessels are today using it. I still see quite a lot of challenges in building a fully agentic solution just because of the nature of building and shipping. A lot of data is really closed. But what I feel is this is need of the hour as well, because the human capital is shrinking. And really there is a lot of pressure on the shore side to manage this regulation and always keep it up to date and also communicate it. So I think it's a need. It's a deep, deep need at this point of time to have tools like this. Plus the technology is available and it's the right time to kind of expand on it. Adoption wise, I think there is going to be a steep curve. So there is a challenge in getting it fully in there.
Any more questions or comments? Yep, one at the back. Oh, so I'll do it first, then come back.
Very impressive presentation. And I wanted to ask you regarding the backend part. What language models do you use? Do you educate them? And how do you handle the quality of the answers from the big documents? I've seen that you have quite big amount of documentation inside, and I wanted to ask how you can handle the problems with hallucinations.
So, I mean, I would break it into different points. So hallucinations is a huge problem. And we do have a verification system built into Selenic. So right now the tool is completely online. It only works online. And the reason it works online is because we want to have monitoring on it. And if we make it offline, we can't really monitor it. So we monitor the language models. We put guardrails around them. So the models have a lot of guardrails that they have to do verification before they answer. Plus, there is an inbuilt system within the application which is taking care of verification of the answers. So it's not 100% left on one LLM. Number two, we use multiple LLM models. So we do use OpenAI, for example. We also use Mistral. We also use a couple of Hugging Face models. So these are open source models we are using. We are also fine-tuning them. So a lot of fine-tuning goes around teaching them geolocations, because these models inherently don't know about geolocations or how to handle geographical data. So we do fine-tune these models on those aspects. Plus we fine-tune them on general maritime aspects. And then the last part is we also use a couple of in-browser models. So in long term, we don't want to be a completely online system. We want to have an offline version, which we want to kind of release next year. And to go to that offline capability, we are also moving a lot of functionality into the browser. So the models can directly run in a browser on a laptop instead of running in cloud. So that's kind of our approach towards that. I hope I answered everything.
So, from my understanding, you're building some kind of a rack system, which also has AIS. And Harry and I, we also looked into the rack. I mean, you can do a lot of things, but We struggled a lot with pictures, and we struggled also with tables. My question would be, have you solved this, or are you also still struggling with pictures and tables?
I mean, tables we have solved. So in the end, a table is a very, because it's a document, you never know how complex the table can get, but we can handle quite a bit of table complexity. We can even process a huge amount of Excel sheets at this point of time, so very big Excel tables are easily digestible by the system. Images is a big topic because images in shipping are very complex also, because you have broken parts and those kind of things. So I would say it's not fully solved. To a certain extent, it can digest images. So to a certain degree, there is accuracy on images.
Question back here.
Hi, I'm Michael from Vicinity. I tend to like to look beyond the superficial layer, and to me this looks like notebook LLM for shipping presented to an industry that doesn't know what notebook LLM is. So where's the advantage?
So I mean, the main advantage is building hands to the AI. So what I kind of, so our philosophy is we are not really building LLMs. We don't build LLMs, we use LLMs, and then we fine tune them depending on what is the need. The main thing what we are building is kind of bringing the data closer. So example is bringing AIS data into the AI agents. The other part would be when we start really going into a PMS system, when we start, so right now I couldn't show you a demo where we are going into the PMS system, but understanding the workflows, even bringing charts into AI. So I don't know how good notebook LM will be with geofencing or kind of working around those aspects which are very shipping specific aspects. For that, you really need to build custom workflows on top of it. So quite a lot of work we are doing is pure software engineering work, which is building these custom workflows around. So giving LLMs hands and tools to deal with stuff which you have to deal with in shipping. So that's kind of the main USP of the tool we are building.
Great, thanks. Any more questions? No, that's great. Thank you very much indeed.
So I think it's now time for Peter, John, and me to close the AIS Summit. Or should we have another roundup summary, roundup part of the day? So you're a professional guy. Start, please.
Okay. You know, it's called the AIS Summit for a reason. You know, AIS, and you know the industry seems to be going through a massive change, the consolidation that's going on, and we haven't actually raised that. You know, we've seen new suppliers, new satellite guys from the satellite side. You know, new guys coming along launching satellites and data, but we've got, you know, the two main providers are now part of very, very large companies who have their own applications. And it just, you know, it's going through a change. I just wonder if anybody wants to comment on that or, you know, raise issues, discuss. Or are we all happy with the situation?
I think we can discuss if we want. We will not change it.
No, well, it seems everyone's happy. So
the only thing is maybe come up with some go back to work, develop something beautiful, and bring it live, and all this kind of discussion. I mean, do it like the Jasper has done it, sitting in his room for 2 years. And develop something beautiful, what people like and adopt and use. Maybe that's a better approach than to have discussions.
I think there's a big difference in, you know, building applications.
Or do it like Peter. Have a huge community, what people like and support each other.
I think there's a big difference though between the sort of application end compared to the capital-intensive launch satellites, build, you know, platforms, build networks, and distribute data. So,
actually, today's presentations, they bring for me two very big questions from Valera presentation. Exactly, the first question: how to meet buyer and seller. The next thing is how to pay for the data. But it raises another very important question which we didn't discuss. how to validate data, because all of us are talking about AIS spoofing, when the ship owner or vessel spoofs AIS. But AIS data may be corrupted in many other places. Like, for example, in AIS Hub, we had a lot of such issues when some bad guys inject wrong data, and it's very difficult to detect such data without, usually some of our users report it. We stopped this data, but that means that 2 or 3 days or even a week, some bad data has been injected to the system. And that can happen not only with open network like AIS Hub, that can happen everywhere. And it's very important question how to check and to rely to AIS data, and who and how can validate it. That's question for me from today.
But Peter, this, I mean, you're doing this since 15 years. You should have an answer for this. Huh? But I know what you mean, and I can also tell you that I knew a guy. He's not in the room. He was from Bremerhaven, and he was hosting an AIS station for AIS Hub, and he did not put wrong data into the AIS Hub, but limited data. So he only reported 30–40% of the ships which are available by purpose, so that people think, okay, there is somebody reporting the data. Nobody else will do it because he is already there. But he knew by him, he was the only guy who knew that he just sent limited data. So it's not what's wrong. It is not wrong data he sent you, but he cut off a good part of it.
Maybe he's not the only guy who is doing this.
This guy was running a professional service called the Schiffsmeldedienst, and he saw all the other AIS people as a competitor, and they wanted to make them look bad and saying, yeah, look at the marine traffic, look at here, you only see shit data, and come to me by my local website, then you get it all. That was his, and he did it in his community. And that was his, so to say, marketing approach. Yes, that was his unique selling point, and it was not, and that is also, is he sending wrong data when he cuts off something? It is not wrong, it's just missing something.
It's better than to selling wrong data.
But how can you check? I think you only can check if you have another 2 sources and then compare them to one another, like what the Valera has a little bit presented today, to validate, to have one source, and then the others are then the validation for this one source.
Even then you cannot say if it is done on purpose or it is just because the antenna is located somewhere in the bathroom.
Yes, or it's just bad luck or bad weather.
Exactly.
And sometimes it is bad weather.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there are multiple ways to validate data. It's all a question of the level of effort and money you want to put into it, just like it's a function of the level of effort, money you want to put into provide false data. The other thing that's interesting and that we're seeing now as a consumer of data, as a global consumer of data, is the data aggregation, right? So you talk about buying data from one group, but some professional services will offer it from the aggregated data sets. If you talk to all of the data providers now, they are aggregating data from everybody that they can find out there, right? If we're taking a look at providing a global solution. So that in itself provides a level of validation, but there are many, many, many steps that you can go through to provide data validation. As I showed in the platform, we have the first step is data validation. Nothing makes it into the data lake unless the data has been validated. But what I find interesting in the developments currently is while there are a number of data providers coming up, we're seeing the data aggregation capability as a capability in itself as well. So while we have many people putting terrestrial systems up, we have systems in space, there are systems on aircraft. When we talked about why don't you put on aircraft, in fact, the first system we put up was on aircraft. There are surface platforms. So there are many, many sources, and these data sets are now becoming aggregated. And the concepts, perhaps like Valera mentioned or other, this is interesting. You know, how do you sell this aggregated data set? If you take a look at a cell phone system, and I say that our platform is the same as a cell phone, all cell providers use the same cell tower. Right? All the different cell providers can use the same cell tower to transmit the data, and then they just break it out and sell it to the customers using their data service. But they're all using the same cell towers, moving all this volume of data around. So that's an interesting development for us to take a look at. How are all of these data sources, because I believe that they will all be aggregated in some way, and so you may be able to buy the or portions of the same data set from various users. So that's an interesting development.
Amrit?
Thank you, Carsten. I think on the validation front, what Valera mentioned as a reward for validation was quite interesting. Do we know what sort of reward would be good for people to validate that? Because I think Valera has put a percentage. Is it 10%, 20%? Have we sort of a thought on that number? Because it's going to help everybody who's using the data.
Valera, how many bitcoins you want to pay for the validation? It depends. Very good answer. Peter, John, should we call it a day or any more remarks from your side? I mean, you called me almost 1 year ago when we saw this funny monopoly video. Do you think there will be a monopoly? I doubt not, huh?
I hope no.
So,
and after these 2 days, I think that the monopoly, especially in AIS data market, is not possible, and it is for good.
That's also what I think. So that also would be my outcome. Also, what I really like is that, I mean, look at us. I mean, we saw the pictures 15 years ago. We see then the pictures from 2 years ago. Now we have made a lot of pictures when we show them in 10 years again. Not sure, but my outcome would be there are some newcomers here, even in the satellite space. And there are some new startups also run by some young people, so I'm quite happy about this. So we will not be the last generation.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there'll be a monopoly. I think the one thing I found most interesting really is this, the concept we've been talking about, with crypto and Owen's presentation on what I tend to call the Spotify approach. People, being able to access and my comment earlier on about people paying per use. Maybe it's a different market. Maybe people out there who want to just get simple information and are quite happy to pay their €2.99 a month for the subscription to be able to pull down a few vessels is one thing, and then you'll have all the the big government customers paying $500,000, $1 million for the the best possible supply, whatever. But the Spotify approach is one. And again, just talking about data aggregation and availability, it is. I know it's complex for customers to pull different data sets and pull them all together. Will there be an Amazon for AIS data at some point? In the imagery industry, we've seen lots of companies put together websites where they consolidate all the information. It's the customer just says, I need an image over my farm tomorrow, bang, and he just gets whatever's available. Will that happen in AIS? It probably makes sense, but when suppliers agree to do it, basically.
So, should we call it a day? Before we do this, we have to say thank you. Thank you for all, for our audience, for the interaction. I think it's really amazed by it. The numbers of questions, the quality of questions about the discussions we have during the conference, but also in our pub night, in our dinner yesterday. and we can continue this. So afterwards we are having lunch, same procedure as yesterday. Weather is fine, so take the plate, go outside, grab a beer, sit in the sun, enjoy the afternoon in the Hamburg. I have to say thank you first also to our sponsors, especially my friend Peter from Bulgaria, who put in some money with this vessel finder and AIS Hub. I have to say thank you to Gerd and his team from LuxSpace, Orbit Sailors, the folks from Lloyd's List Intelligence, not sure if they are still around, they are in the back. So I think they also have some nice pens and some notebooks LLM. Then the French guys, Kinice, really amazing new development. I'm curious to see their data feed. Richard from GSTS, still around. Thank you for coming, making the whole way from the Canada. George Best, is he still there? Opcom? Or are they? So you are there from Montreal. Thanks a lot. Chris, amazing guy. We never happy we met first time in person. We were on the phone, emailing all the times. Thank you for coming. Thank you for paying the drinks on the first evening together with Opcom.
He also wins the award for best shoes. You know.
Yeah, very nice. And then also thank you. I think give me that mic. And then of course, thank you, Alex. Not sure what happened to you yesterday at the gala dinner, because you were from one time to the other you disappeared, but
it was the Reaper Barn.
Yeah. Was it the Reaper Barn or the Opera House?
It was nice location.
So thank you very much. And then as also my guys in the back, the technical guys, they did an amazing job. We came here to the cinema and nothing worked, and I bought some stuff on the Amazon, some microphones, and I was not really convinced that this will work, and it was also hard, but they did an amazing job. Mark, even in the evening, he was doing some welding job with some cables, etc. I think it will be end in a complete disaster, but they managed so well. So maybe, can you please stand up, Mark? Harry in the back was really good, and if you are planning an event and you want to hire a technical team, please reach out to me, we'll make it happen. So, and then finally, I have not say thank you to you, John. Huh? So, he's a man, so he rescued it a couple of times. I'm so happy that you came.
Thank you. Yeah.
And because also when Peter asked me to do it, I said, okay, but then we also need some senior people who is more or less respected in the whole industry. Everybody knows him. He can talk. He's good at party, etc. So please also clap a hand for. Thank you. For John. So thank you very much.
As you know, I've always looked up to Carsten. I've got a stiff neck. Yeah, no, thank you.
And we also have to thank Peter, so maybe you can do this, and then I grab the flowers for the girls, okay?
Absolutely. Well, yeah, thank you, Peter. No, it's been good, but also, you know, Carsten, without Carsten, you know, it just wouldn't happen, so we owe you a big thanks.
So I ordered huge flowers, and then they gave me this, but maybe the budget was not high enough for it. So, Annette, Anja, please come. That were the girls. They made all the things happen. The food, the entrance, everything. So they worked really hard during the last months. Also communication with all of you guys. What food you want? You want meat, you want fish, you want nothing, you want everything. So thank you very much, Anja. Thank you very much, Annette. So here are the huge flowers. They even bought by the way, they bought the flowers by themselves. Maybe that's why they are so small. So I don't know when we see each other again. So I will be still based in the Hamburg if you want, take my phone number, take my email. Not sure when we do the next, maybe Bulgaria, maybe Rotterdam. The Taro wants to do, maybe Azerbaijan, maybe Antwerp. Let's see, reach out to me. We have always done it in Hamburg. I'm really happy to do it somewhere else in the world. Maybe in Canada, in Montreal. Let's do it, maybe not next year, do it in 2 years, do it in 3 years. But I'm quite sure this was not the last time we meet, and I'm also sure it was not the last AIS Summit. Thank you very much, and good way home.